Okay, I don't know why I taped all that. Hopefully I can edit it out. Welcome to episode 2 of the B-Leaguer Beer Leaguer. It rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? So I am Nate the Beard, a.k.a. the Miserable Man, a.k.a. the B-Leaguer Beer Leaguer. And we're going to try another episode. Why not? And hopefully I'm going to be able to edit this a little. I think that free editing software that I downloaded does not have cut capability, so I can't cut out my fuck-ups. Whoops. So, where to begin? It's funny. I'm going to start with the Beer Leaguers Players Association, which is actually a pretty cool group. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. Name's pretty self-explanatory. It seems to be a group of, other beer leaguers who vlog, make posts, post videos, have commentary about beer league, celebrate all things hockey. And there was, of course, a rowdy fight video up where a guy sticked another guy in the helmet in a closely contested A-League game at Flyer Skate Zone somewhere in South Jersey. There are more than one Flyer Skate Zones. And before anybody asks, yes, this is a hideous hockey jersey. I will show it to you. This is one of my teams, the Belching Beavers. This is our first jersey by a company, Dynamic. And the problem with this bad boy is the colors on the screen do not look like colors in real life. And there seems to be a very hideous sort of what's meant to be brown that looks like neon green, depending on your cameras and what your eye when you see it in person. These were going to be Hershey Bears knockoffs because I've always loved that chocolate brown color, the maroonish chocolate brown color from the 70s and 80s that the Bears had, with the rink with the bear in the middle of it skating with a hockey stick logo. Those were classics. And some of those teams, that 88-89 Hershey Bears team, they went 16-0 in the Calder Cup. So, 4 rounds, they didn't drop a game. Promoted Wendell Young back to the NHL and had a lot of future Flyers on that team. So I wanted to mimic those with our jerseys, and this is what we got. So I apologize in advance, but I'm probably going to wear a jersey going forward doing these. I've got enough of them. But let's get back to Beer League. Fights in Beer League. And I've been in a few, and I won't tell you that I won every single one, and I certainly won't tell you that they were all pretty. But this video of the fight posted in the Beer League Players Association webpage / Facebook group / whatever you want to call it. Yeah, guy chopped another guy in the head, and the fight that ensued was sloppy and silly looking, and I made a commentary on it. I got some clapback from the poster, and the poster is, I'm going to say it is a mouthy goalie. And I love goalies. I've played goalie. I'm a defenseman by trade mostly. Now anyway, and I'll defend my goalie no matter what, even if he's a putz. And the clapback I got from this guy, and watching the video, he's bored in his crease, and he's being feisty, and he's being mouthy for the sake of the camera. That's all well and good, but yeah, A, shut up unless you're getting into a fight, and B, that fight was crap. Okay, and basically what it represented was a game that ended with the other goalie knocking the net off and was basically saying, fuck you guys. So the refs called it. And the fight itself was atrocious. Neither guy knew how to throw hands. Neither guy had probably been in a real hockey fight in his life. And if he did, he probably got his ass kicked. So, it's a pretty simple premise. You try to stay on balance as best you can. You're going to try to get a grip. If you're just going to slap box or try to, MMA fight / spar, you're screwed. Okay, you've got to get a grip. You've got to get in. You've got to try to tie up the guy's hands and slip in your own punches. These are my opinions. This is what I've done in every hockey fight that I've been in. Okay, several of them have just been punching matches with cages on, so they were pointless. But fights where I lost my helmet or my helmet was off, oh yeah, I'm grabbing the guy and I'm just trying to hold him off from punching me until I can get my fists loose or whatever, or we go to the ground. All right, and I've been in a few of those. The most recent one where I can tell you my helmet was off, okay, I was wrapped up with a guy in a tournament because the game was out of hand. They brought players that were way better than us, and they were kicking our ass. And one of our guys got sick of it and confronted their bench. Okay, big fight ensues. Their guys come off the bench. Our guys are outnumbered. I'm off the bench. Fuck it. It's a tournament, right? tied up with one guy, pushing another guy, whatever, and it goes to the ground. Guy skates by, rips my helmet off. So yeah, what's the first thing I do? I just start trying to get into a position where I'm not going to get punched. And I'm on the ground, and then I get up and I go after the first guy that's closest to me and tie him the fuck up because I don't want to get punched in the head. Ideally, you don't lose your bucket, but these guys ripped off their buckets, were ready to go, and it was just, somebody got cut in the process, probably from falling to the ice. But look, if you're a mouthy goalie, I get it. Mouth away. Sometimes sitting back there in a game that's one-sided, it's got to be boring as hell. But the clapback in the posts was like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, two things I'm going to explain should this person ever find this podcast or want to talk to me in person. I looked you up. Okay, you're probably half my age, if not younger. So, one, shut up, Junior. I won't call you anything other than Junior. I won't call you boy because that's insulting. I'll call you Junior because you're my junior. Because I'm old enough to be your dad. And I've done this a few times. So I'm going to be an ageist for a little bit and basically introduce you to the wisdom of old age. You don't know what you're talking about. And, that fight was just dumb. Okay, that fight was a waste of time. And shit happens at beer league games, whatever. So back to beer league. My last few games have been really hindered by attendance. I mean, back to play has suffered from people who don't want to wear a mask into the rink to people who are waiting to get the vaccine before they even come back to the rink to, it's 10:25 on a Monday night and I've got to work tomorrow. Yeah, well, I wish I was working tomorrow too, but they've always been 10:25 on a Monday night or 10:30 or 11 o'clock. The game times... One of the staples of beer league is bad game times. If you're lucky enough to be in a beer league with good game times, enjoy it because it doesn't last. So our attendance has been atrocious, and for both the teams I'm playing on. And one of the last games that I played, the other two defensemen, we played three defensemen, which is a whole nother story that I hate, but people do it. Sure, it's a compliment to the people who are playing defense because we trust you guys to be on the ice all the time because we don't have much choice. The other two defensemen, their ages added together, were still 7 years younger than I am. Yeah. Process that one for a little bit. The Danny Glover line, I'm too old for this shit. And Glover's a nice tie-in because I'm going to do gloves in my gear review. Yeah. I can't do three defensemen forever. I hated doing three defensemen when I was younger. So there's no cohesion. There's no flow. You're out there. You're trying to conserve energy. You can't join the play. I mean, if you just want to hang back and be a stay-at-home defenseman the whole time, that's pretty damn boring too. Even though I have certainly devolved into that, I am not a puck mover, and I am certainly not leading the rush up the ice. I'm making a pass. I can rush some, but not if I'm playing in a game where I'm one of three defensemen. So that's problematic right there. So attendance is always going to be tough, and it's funny, this team, the Belching Beavers team, we had a few names before we went to Belching Beavers, and before anybody asks, it's a brewery, and we like their beer. Now, yeah, it's Belching Beaver is a childish, immature joke about certain parts of anatomy and the noises they might make, so yeah, go there if you wish, but Belching Beavers, it's a beer that we like out of California. Their chocolate peanut butter Mexican chocolate stout is delicious. They've done some collabs with bands. The beers are also very tasty. I'm amazed we haven't gotten a cease and desist order, and we may get one tied to this. I don't think my reach is anywhere near that, but should it ever be, apologize in advance. We like your beer and we like the name, and we're not a brewery and we're not selling beer, so there's a little bit of leeway before you get mad at us. And we're certainly not hindering your reputation because nobody knows who we are anyway. Okay? Half the people say, oh yeah, Beavers. They don't throw in Belching Beavers. So there's that. But one of the team names before Belching Beavers was the Iron 7 because it seemed like our turnouts were so low. And if it was 7, it was great. And 7 guys constantly having to play in games, you better be made of iron. You better be durable. That name stems from another situation on a team that I actually used to run where the infamous Iron 5 game where there were 5 of us, and that was it. We had no subs. And it happened more than once. The first Iron 5 game I actually missed. The second Iron 5 game is a funny story. We were sitting at 4, and the 5th actually left the Flyers game where Ken Hitchcock got fired the next day because the game was so bad. He texted me and was like, "Do you still need a sub? I'm leaving this Flyers game. It sucks." And I'm like, "Yeah, they're getting killed. If you can get back in time to make our game, absolutely, we need you." Well, we only had 5. So every time we got a penalty, we were in trouble, and we were shorthanded anyway. And we got a situation where we had 2 penalties, and we had to put 2 guys in the box. And the ref was basically like, "I'll let you play 2 periods at this point, but the 3rd period's pointless. If there's another manpower situation where you don't have enough players to put in the box, I have to call the game." So that was one of 2 Iron 5 games because we were the Iron 5. We were the 5 guys who showed up. Yes, we lost. The other Iron 5 game we actually won. I wasn't there. That's probably why. And it's not how many you have sometimes. It's who you bring. And the 5 guys who showed up, and a 6th did come late, and then he got a 10-minute misconduct, which is a whole nother story that I was told. They actually won the game because the right 5 guys showed up, and they could just leg it out, and they scored enough goals, and they won. So, yeah. Briefly to switch into miserable man mode, I'm going to talk about my last interview. Because this podcast, videocast, whatever you want to call it, is also stemmed from my take on life in general, and it seems to be my work situations. I went on an interview, and it was basically the CFO, who's the new CFO, telling me a horror story about how everything stinks there. So not exactly a glowing interview, even remotely. And basically being told about how the previous CFO was taking people away, and the people who stayed behind after the previous CFO left were basically telling the current CFO, like, "You're not my boss. You don't get to tell me what to do. It's funny that you think you can tell me what to do." So this poor person wants to build another finance team and needed an accountant, and that's what I am. Love it or list it or hate it or deny it. Yeah, it's a 2-second shout out to Love It or List It. I hate that show. I hate it. Anyway. Like it, love it, deny it all you will, I'm an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I hate taxes. I barely do my own. I used to pay somebody else to do mine. I'm more of an analyst than anything else. Emphasis on analyst. But I'm an accountant as well. Sitting through that interview, very informal and basically just a 45-minute to an hour bitch session about how everything sucks there. You think I'm going to take that offer if I get it? I said to her very plainly, I said, "Look, I'm not allergic to hard work, and I'm not allergic, and I've been in bad situations where we're always behind, the curve, or we're always on the wrong side of the workload. I get it, but money talks." And to quote my friend, whose quote I steal all the time, "Money talks and bullshit runs the marathon." And yeah, I don't got time for bullshit. It better be fuck you, pay me if you want to offer me this job. I am not coming into a shit show to be overworked and underpaid. It's just the way it is. I've been at this for 24 years now, and I'm not some fresh-faced kid out of college. I apologize for being an ageist again, but that's the truth. I'm not some fresh-faced kid out of college. I have zero interest in being buried and then questioned and critiqued about why things aren't done. Frankly, fuck you. You don't pay me enough. And if you pay me enough, I'll tolerate it, but it doesn't mean I like it. And unless it's my name on the door, no situation is life or death. I'm sorry. I'm not a surgeon performing brain surgery. If I fuck up, somebody dies. I'm a number cruncher and an analyst and a bean counter. And if something's out of place, we'll fix it next month. We'll fix it next year. We'll full disclosure say, "Hey, there was a mistake and we had to fix it." They're fucking numbers on a page. Don't treat them like they're life or death. And if I were to make a pivot professionally, I swear to God, this would be the reason why, because I'm sick of these life or death jobs. These are not life or death jobs. My decisions are not killing anyone. My decisions are not saving lives. I'm not on the front line of, distributing the vaccine to fight a disease. No, I'm in the rear with the gear, counting numbers and inventory, saying, "Yeah, we got enough," or "We don't have enough," or "We need more," or "This expense doesn't belong here," blah, blah, blah. Fuck it. Okay. out of the miserable man persona for 5 seconds. We're going to talk about one of my favorite things in hockey. Gear, of course, and what's in my bag. And today we're going to do gloves, and this one's going to get long because I've got way too many pairs. And I apologize if I don't remember all the names of the actual models, but I mean, there are a lot. You're going to see there's a lot. And where to start? We're going to start with the most recent pair that I purchased. CCMs with my nickname, Chief, on the cuffs. These are from Pro Stock Hockey. These are actually CCM HG97s. 15 inches for the camera. See? Customized. These were Providence Bruins gloves, according to Pro Stock Hockey. They're a little tight. I like them, but you know, I'm used to the old 4-rolls, and I that were wider. My favorite pair of gloves of all time were a pair of Cooper BDPs with short cuffs that were Flyers leftovers. Actually, I think they were Bruins or Penguins leftovers because they had a yellow stripe. And I wish they were Flyers leftovers. They were roomy. There's another pair of BDPs I got to talk about that were actually Dan McGillis's. Those I bought from Byron's Hockey Land, which was a guy who used to buy Pro Stock gear before it was all the rage, and he would buy leftover stuff from the Flyers, and they were 15 inches, all blacks. They were Dan McGillis's. He didn't use them long because he switched over to another glove company, but they were gigantic, and I love them. And there's actually another pair of BDPs that I had that were Kyle Clifford's that I got from Pro Stock Hockey. He cut the thumb loop, which I hated, but whatever. They were in great shape. They were also 15 inches. They were beautiful. I love that glove, and then they keep changing that glove, and they made it tighter, and I like a looser fitting old school glove. My first real decent pair of Pro Stock Hockey gloves were Rawling RHG 20s, and they were 15 and a half inches. They were huge. They were roomy. I used them forever until they damn near fell apart, and they were my favorite gloves. Maybe I'll post a picture of me in them if you follow me on Instagram or know me and follow me on Facebook. You've seen the picture enough times. I love those gloves. But back to the CCMs, the HG 97s. I like these a lot. Again, I wish they were a little more roomy. You know, they're a Pro Stock glove, so nice palms, lightweight. You know, no logos here on the roll, which is a dead giveaway for anybody who's ever concerned that they're getting a Pro Stock glove. They'll take a lot of the manufacturing bullshit off of them, so there's nothing here. Rarely there's stuff here, but there's no advertising on the thumbs. There's no, you know, armadillo pad, whatever. All the stuff that used to be on the thumbs, that's all gone. That's a surefire giveaway that you've got Pro Stock gear. If somebody's advertising gear on either Sideline Swap or anywhere else, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, if you see logos there, they're not Pro Stock. Those are retail gloves. Now, another pair of CCMs, and I wish I remembered the name of this particular glove. I want to say they're like something 55s. These I actually got from Hockey Monkey. Hockey Monkey gets their hands on leftovers. These are also 15s. These are a little roomier, and I like these for quite a while. But I don't know. I get picky, and, you know, you would think I had great hands and gloves mattered, but I get picky. I get tired of stuff. I want change. Something goes on sale. I'm a gear whore. I buy gear. But yeah, these, I like these a lot, but they started to get a little, you know, worn down, and a little bit of the ergonomics with the cuff I didn't like. I don't know. I found a reason not to like them. I'm going to have to edit that out, or you're going to hear my dog. So, those are the two CCM pairs that I have. Pretty much everything else is Warrior, or actually no, I stand corrected. I have the Reebok version of the HG97s. I forget the product name for these. These are also from Hockey Monkey. It might have been from Hockey Giant. Either way, companies are very similar. These are Pro Stocks, leftovers, Toronto Maple Leafs colors. I can't guarantee these were Toronto Maple Leafs. They might have been Toronto Marlies. 15 inches. I love these gloves. These are super lightweight, and they have decent palms. And Maple Leafs colors, potentially Toronto Marlies. Either way, really lightweight. Enough protection, but super lightweight. Lots of dexterity in the fingers and the thumbs. I really like these a lot. I wish I would have got them in black because none of my teams are blue, but I don't care. I mean, colors are colors. And except for the one team where I've got all green gear, with the exception of gloves and a helmet, I've got green pants, green socks. I wish I had gloves, and I've actually looked at pairs of gloves. The STX HPRs, 2, I believe, that Pro Stock Hockey has. They have the Toronto St. Pat's colors, because at some point I'm sure the Maple Leafs are going to wear their old St. Pat's jerseys, so they're going to go to the Kelly Green. Love Kelly Green as an Eagles fan and an old Minnesota North Stars fan, and fan of that color. Period. Great color in sports. Kelly Green. I wish I had a Kelly Green pair. Times are tight. I don't know if I'm buying any more gloves. But Reebok was essentially CCM. Reebok bought CCM, and they ran parallel, and then Reebok just slowly finally disappeared when Adidas bought everything and was not going to throw their name on gloves. They were just going to stick with the CCM name. So everything else I have is Warrior, except for one Styx retail pair. But these are all Pro Stocks or quote-unquote collegiate. I'll show you the collegiate ones. These actually go with the brown jersey. These are Alphas from Warrior. These are from Bowling Green. I don't know if you can see Bowling Green. I got these on Sideline Swap. They're relatively inexpensive. Pretty close to a retail palm, but still nice nonetheless. The actual Bowling Green logo on the thumbs, which is pretty slick. Very comfortable gloves, pretty dexterous, like the Reeboks. I wear these sparingly. These I couldn't say no to the price, and I love the color. And I thought if we were going to stick with this color, things would be cool. But we changed the color, and we're now silver and black, and with some orange mixed in. So these gloves clash quite a bit. I apologize to scratch my nose. Another pair of Alphas that I have. These are from Hockey Monkey as well. These claim to be Flyers overstocks. They could just be black overstocks that were issued to any team that wears black. They do have the mini shot blocker pad, not the full back roll shot blocker pad. Same commercial-ish palm, good dexterity. I like them a lot. I wear these primarily. What I'll do, what I've been running into is I've had back-to-back games, and I hate wet gloves. And yes, I dry my gear properly, and I do have a dehumidifier and a fan that blows on it to try to dry it out. It's not anything I want to put outside at my apartment and let, the mice and God only knows what find a warm place to stay inside my gear. So there's an extra room in my apartment that I use as my gym, and I don't use it as a bedroom, so it's the hockey room / gym. And, I put my gear out, put the fan on it, have the dehumidifier running, dries my stuff out. I'm not one of these throw my stuff in the tub guys. If something's getting really funky, I will wash it with some Dreft, which is baby detergent for those of you old enough to know what Dreft is. Hand wash it, let it air dry. Not one of these guys who throws their gear in the washing machine. I don't get that. I've heard the, well, you don't rewear your underwear argument. No, I don't, but this is hockey gear. This is not on my balls. And the stuff that goes by my balls, yeah, I wash that in the washing machine because it's a pair of shorts. Okay? These are not going anywhere near my balls, ever. Whatever. That's a whole nother argument for a whole nother time. I know guys who will never wash their gear. And yeah, it stinks. All athletic gear will stink. But personal preference. And I'm not here to poo-poo on anybody's personal preferences. Yeah, but another pair of Alphas. I like these quite a bit. I'm not huge on the half protection on the back roll, but they don't interfere with anything. They don't make the gloves heavier. It's just an extra piece of plastic. It's not that heavy. If it were so heavy that it changed the dynamic of my game, then my game is even worse than I thought. Another pair of Warriors here. These I got from Pro Stock Hockey. AX1s. Black palms. These were Scott Hartnell, so they were issued to Scott Hartnell. I colored out the name, but you can probably see it. I just did that with a Sharpie because it was sticking out like a sore thumb and it was bugging me. I didn't care about the color. I just wanted the gloves, and they had gone on sale. So when stuff goes on sale, that's a gear nerd's worst nightmare, because if you've got the money, you'll buy shit. And that's exactly what happened here. And the funny thing is they went down to $109. I'm like, oh, awesome. Picked them up. A couple weeks later, they were down to $89, and I was pissed. I'm like, should I buy another pair? No, I just wasted $109 when if I were a little more frugal or had some hindsight, I could have waited to pick them up, but I wanted to pick them up because they had dropped down in price, and 109 is not bad for a pair of pro-issued gloves. These are not super dexterous. I actually like to wear these more for protection. You know, I'm not entirely in love with the cuff, but it's a comfortable cuff. Black palms are cool. These are pretty heavy duty, so they've held up. They're getting a little bit of wear. You can't see it because it doesn't. This is not a very detailed camera. There's not a lot of high gain out of that camera, but I love those gloves. They were the right price at the right time, and that is always what's going to happen. Oh, I forgot to point out there, a little bit of custom embroidery on them. Hartnell was wearing 43, if you can see it, while he was his second stint with Columbus. Well, technically no, first stint with Columbus. He went back to Nashville, 2 stints with Nashville. Might edit that out, but yeah, he was wearing 43. I don't know why. So he had that embroidered on here as well. And I'll never wear 43. I've worn lots of different numbers. I've gone back to 29, and I'm just sticking with 29 as long as I can get it. It's my high school number, for anybody who cares. I was a huge Terry Carkner fan as a kid because he was this big, tough defenseman, put in a couple of goals, fight everybody. First year with the Flyers, he scored 11 goals, which is career high. He still lives in the area. I've run into him at a couple of things and told him he was my favorite player, like a big fanboy nerd, and he was extremely polite about it. I actually have a former teammate who's in the same industry that Carkner's in now, and they're buddies, and he just tells me all the time Carkner's a great guy. So he had a reputation when he played with the Flyers about autographs as being quote-unquote crabby Carkner. What the fuck ever. They should be humble. They're always humble. Hockey players are amongst the best professional athletes there are. They're not too big for, most of them are not too big for their britches, and they'll always give back, and they'll always sign an autograph. Every once in a while, I'm sure the guy didn't want to sign an autograph, and every athlete has been there, I'm sure. I wouldn't know. I can't say if I were a professional that I would always give autographs. I'd try to, to be polite, give a few, sit there for an hour, whatever. People are human. Every once in a while, you're not going to want to fucking do those things. So I find his reputation unwarranted and unfounded. He was extremely nice to me every time I've talked to him. Now, he's older in life and he's settled, so maybe back then, in the heat of the moment, he didn't want to sign an autograph. Whatever. Last pair of gloves. I felt like this would take longer, but I really rolled through them. These are Stallion HPR STX retail gloves, and I got these through STX with a discount code directly because a friend of mine's daughter is going to be on the U.S. Olympic team. She's been in the Olympic developmental program. She plays big-time college hockey, and the Styx reps were lingering around some event and gave all the parents coupon codes and said, buy our products. So I took advantage of that because he shared it with me. There are some goofy things in here that I don't like, but the price was right, and I was willing to try something new. And truth be told, the HPR2s that I had mentioned in Kelly Green earlier look similar, but they look pro stock. They are pro stock in the color that I want them, so they won't have all this goofy stuff. But we'll go through some of the goofy stuff because retail versions of gloves, they try to sell on technology that I don't know who they're attempting to impress, but some of it's good and some of it's junk. Now, there goes my dog again. I'll get to edit that out. Now, if you can see, they've got their own antimicrobacterial line. You need to shut up! Please? As you can see inside, they've got their own sort of graphic with their antimicrobacterial lining so they stay dry and you don't have fungus and other funky stuff growing in there. They've got a little vented spot here on one of the roll protections. I'm sorry if my face was right there and you weren't getting that. There's this little vent here with a little plastic sort of brush guard, whatever you want to call it, scuff guard, so the glove can breathe. If you could get a good, and this isn't the best camera, I apologize. It's the camera on my laptop. But there's a little bit of mesh there for breathing right behind your fingers so the gloves don't get hot, and then maybe there's some airflow so funky stuff doesn't get in there. Okay. There's a sort of grip here, friction piece so your stick stays put. I don't know if that's from their lacrosse line of gloves that they've brought over. But, little goofy logo here. That's pretty cool. Pure Form. Sure, I don't know what the Pure Form is. But, the second you see this crap, this is a retail glove. Inside on the microbacterial, there's a little spot for you to put your number in there. If you don't know your gear's getting confused with your other teammates, sure, it's a great thing to have, but I don't know. Another Styx tag there. If you can see that next to my fat fingers, there you go. And just some goofy accoutrement that definitely shows it's a retail glove. I wore it a couple times. If I were to go out and play some street hockey or inline hockey, I'd probably throw these on because I don't care about scuffing them up. They're a little too tight for my taste. They're breaking down a little bit. You can see a piece of string hanging here. But, I don't know. The price was right, and that's why I have tons of my gear, because the price was right at the time. And, I spent the money. Fuck it, why not? So that's my current crop of gloves. I threw a bunch of pairs away when I moved that I was hanging on to, including the Kyle Clifford BDPs that I had mentioned earlier, a couple other pairs that I was keeping around for nostalgia, an old pair of, they were old pals because I love those gloves, an old pair of Cooper Technoflexes that I found on my first vacation to Toronto at just a retail sporting goods store that I bought because they were gone and they were impossible to find. They were Blackhawks colors. I didn't care. Love those gloves. The second best gloves after BDPs were the old Technoflexes. And when they first came out, I hated them. I thought they were goofy with that protective roll that was this half moon and all this other crap. They were the most comfortable gloves I ever owned, even more comfortable than the BDPs. They did not offer enough protection. They were paper thin. And if anybody chopped you on the hands, you were going to feel it. But that was the trade-off for the amazing dexterity you had in those. The style was cool. The ergonomics of them were cool. How the tops were cut, so it was a smooth transition from your elbow pad to your hand and protecting your hand. So the length was there for protection. The durability of the material wasn't there for protection. They were super light, and you could feel any good slash on the hands. But I've had so many pairs of gloves, and if I were to go through it again with still pictures to show you the gloves that I loved, the original Eastons were in there. Obviously, I had a retail pair that were crappy and too small. I sold them to a friend, but they were cool to use when I first got them. Just love gloves, always have. I'm a gear nerd, and my gear of choice for nerding out is probably gloves. It's slowly becoming pants because you can do a lot to your kit with pants, or if you're smart and practical, you can do a lot to your kit by buying shells or pants covers to change your colors and so on and so forth, and not have to buy a whole new pair of pants. But when things are dirt cheap, who's going to stop you? Okay, so a follow, a fuck up, and a funny story. And I'm going to apologize for the fuck up in advance. I feel like I'm picking on women consistently, but this one's more of a brand than just a woman. I'm going to talk about beer league podcasts and hockey podcasts in general. I have one subscriber, someone through Instagram, Beer League Hero, a goalie out of Massachusetts area. Liked the first episode, gave me some feedback, has his own videocast, and is another gear nerd for goalies. He's got a couple interesting kits and, some funny stories, talking about his play and some other stuff. I watched a few episodes on his channel. Check him out, Beer League Hero. He's on Instagram. The hero is a 0 because I'm sure there are other Beer League heroes out there. But for hockey podcasts, there are, the big few that everybody knows. Spitting Chicklets. Eliminate all of the association with Barstool Sports. Barstool Sports is not a good company, but I enjoy Spitting Chicklets. If they could branch out and get away from Barstool, that would be even better. Barstool pays them a fair clip and advertises the hell out of them. I'm not going to fault them. They're entitled to their opinion. They'll lose some audience because of who they're affiliated with. They still survive. Whatever. Some parts of the dynamic I don't like. When Ryan Whitney wants to talk about golf for 30 minutes, I could give a shit. I golf. I don't love it that much. And I really don't need to talk about every single shot in 18 holes that I played. He will if you let him. And sometimes they cut him off, sometimes they don't. Paul Bizanet is nasty, is hilarious. He knows how to market himself. He plays into the buffoon role completely. Guy was a pro. I'm not going to knock him. He knew where his bread was buttered. He's got some funny stories, and he definitely takes the piss out of himself and is down to earth. Now, he might be a real jerk in person. I have no idea, but none of the stories seem to reflect that. Does he hold some silly views? Sure, we all hold some silly views. But he doesn't bother me one bit. I could live without Rear Admiral. I can live without some of the guests they get. I can live without their producer, but whatever. I enjoy the dynamic of all of them together. When they get guests on, they really know how to interview them. It's a good podcast. If you were to eliminate the affiliation with Barstool, it would be an even better podcast. Going from that, we've got Cam and Strick out of St. Louis. Andy Strick and Cam Jansen. Cam Jansen's a player. Andy Strick a writer. They get a lot of the same guests. Edit that out. They get a lot of the same guests. Their approach is pretty funny. It's only the two of them. Cam constantly takes a piss out of himself because, he was a plug and an enforcer, but he had a career. And he stayed in the league because he could throw his hands and play hard. So I'm never taking that away from the guy. Same story. Nasty Knuckles, which is Derek Settlemeyer, a former Flyers trainer and equipment manager, and Riley Cote, a newer podcast, their videocast. They've got a few episodes on YouTube. Solely former Flyers so far, including Craig Berube, who was one of my favorite players. They just had Mike Richards. They've had some current players, Jake Voracek, Ivan Provorov, so on and so forth. They had Simon Gagne recently as well. Funny story, I've run into Riley Cote twice. Once after a game when we were playing on the ice at the Wells Fargo Center. It might not even have been Wells Fargo back then. It might have been Wachovia. But he was injured in the game with Edmonton, but there he was standing to greet us all going onto the ice. He looked fine. So I'm wondering what happened there. Never going to question the guy. The guy was a fucking enforcer, threw his hands and used his face to block punches, for a living. And a really cool guy, because I've met him down the road in a tournament that I play in that's for autism, run by the people out of Shinny, USA, in the suburbs of Pennsylvania. And he's lost a lot of weight. He's much healthier than he was when he played, and the guy is a hockey player. He was embarrassingly better than all of us on the ice. There's a reason why he was a paid professional. There's a reason why any of these guys were paid professionals. They're that good. If you're the worst guy in the NHL, and there's 500 players in the NHL, you are the 500th best player in the world. No offense to the KHL or any other leagues, but you are the 500th best player in the world, and millions of people play hockey. Okay, it's like being ranked 500th in tennis. How many people play tennis? You're still pretty goddamn good, and you're going to beat the rest of us schmucks up and down, left and right. Riley Cote ran through us like we weren't there. Okay, and it was like embarrassingly bad. Our goalie stopped him, and he's like, "I'm going to leave. I stopped him. Fuck it, it's over." I stopped Riley Cote once. He scored 5 other goals in this period, but I got him this one time, so I'm done. Really nice guy. Pushes his own brand of CBD products that have helped him with his health after the fact, after his career was over. He's a big proponent of that, and he's not a dipshit. He's not some stoner out there pushing weed. He's pushing the benefits of CBD. Whether you believe in it or not, there's a benefit to it. Even if it's placebo effect for someone, there's a benefit to it. If it's helping you, it's helping. And it's not hurting other people, and it's done legally. Whatever. That's a whole nother opinion piece for another time. So, those are a couple podcasts to check out. If I actually do my due diligence, I'll put links to these people and these podcasts in the notes, in the description on YouTube. And we're looking at 40 minutes here. I'm going to edit some, but I can't believe I already got to 40 minutes. So, fuck-ups. Well, yeah. I'm going to pull flag nor fail, because I just think you're pushing, and you've been pushing, this dude bro, gym bro, do you even lift bro agenda for a while. And, with your scream metal cranking in the background, and I work harder than everybody else, and everything in my life has been about aggression. Bullshit. You're selling a product. You're selling a fantasy, not a reality. Because if you were really like that full time, No one's dealing with you. No one wants your like-minded folks will go along with your crap, but the rest of us are just going to look at it and go, nope. And there are hockey players like that in beer league. They put the gear on. I refer to it as gear itis. This is why I'm bringing it up. They put the gear on. They think they're going to do what they saw on TV, and they're going to slash the piss out of people, and they're going to throw in a cheap elbow, or they're going to not back down in a situation where it's just a friendly beer league game. Maybe it gets contested, maybe it doesn't. Back to the beginning of this video cast with the whole slash to the back of the helmet. Aggression has its place, and aggression gets met with resistance. And I've been one of those people who meets it with resistance because at the end of the day, it's a fucking beer league game. Calm down, dude. None of us are getting paid. No one's signing an NHL contract after this game. And if you are, good for you. But you don't belong in beer league if you are. And after a while, I mean, there's a ton of stories I could tell, and I'll probably tell them another time that could be all dedicated to people who are just being jerk-offs out there. And somebody stands up to them. Whether it's me or another one of my teammates, and I'll always have their back if they stand up to an aggressive jackass, because in beer league, there's no place for it. Yes, there's emotion in hockey. Yes, we're wearing pads. Yes, there's contact. Those are all things that are great about the game, but when it goes to an excessive level, it's not always great. So this excessive gym bro, dude bro, blah, 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 extreme, for those who remember Harold and Kumar, yep, dumb. Sorry, my 2 cents. To quote another podcast, those are just my 2 cents, goddamn. And I've got a problem with that guy's podcast, but that's a whole nother story. Again, these are all opinion pieces. Maybe I'll cut that part out. Maybe I won't. So, follows, fuck up, and a funny story. And the funny story I'm going to tell is my most recent game. We're carrying the wood stick. Everybody commentary about the most recent game where I used a wood stick. Where the hell did you get that thing? Why are you using that thing? What the get rid of that thing. Look, we all played with wood. Some of us were aluminum. When composites, everybody suddenly was better with aluminum, so we're all using aluminum. Composites came around, everybody was suddenly better with composites. That I forget who it was, but it wasn't Mark Savard. Maybe it was Mark Savard. It was somebody. Well, maybe not Mark Savard. I'm remembering it wrong, but there was somebody scored 4 goals in a game with a new composite stick when everybody else was still using wood or aluminum. And yeah, technology has changed everything. But going back to the basics, like I would love to go back to no face protection, gloves with huge cuffs, and wood sticks. Because technology helps people who don't have skill. Golf, tennis, prime examples. Golf clubs get better and better and better for people who don't know how to hit the ball. And as they improve, as the technology improves, it almost makes it mistake-proof. Not entirely mistake-proof, but it certainly helps. There's a larger sweet spot. There's larger contact area. The way the club is set up, it's going to, if it's a good swing or a bad swing, it's still going to drive the ball somewhat straight, somewhat high, somewhat whatever. And hockey is the same way. Technology has made gigantic changes to hockey. If a lot of these people were forced to go back to wood sticks, you would not see the shots that you see. You would not see the things attempted that are just ridiculous with the stick having so much whip. And these guys are elite level athletes anyway, and elite level hockey players where they're just picking corners and firing the puck at excesses of 90 to 100 miles per hour on wristers. And every guy who doesn't have a slap shot suddenly has a slap shot because the stick's doing all the work, or the stick's augmenting your performance for your, deficiencies. So technology has made a big change. If we all went back to wood sticks, the game would be very different. Now, there would still be guys who could crank it. Al McInnes cranked plenty of slap shots, Al Iafredi, Dave Manson, lots of guys with big slap shots. Corey Foster, deep dive there for anybody who was a Flyers fan or a Penguins fan. He went to the Penguins for a little bit. Guys with huge slap shots. Wood sticks. The shot is a lot of technique, some circumstances with the equipment, but if you have the technique, it doesn't matter what you use, it's still going to be a good shot. And I used to have a pretty decent slap shot, and it's better now with a composite stick, but going back to wood, yeah, you could see the deficiencies come out of my slap shot right away when I was taking them in warm-ups. It was very different. And it was fun. It's still fun. show admiration and respect for your forebears and the stuff that came before, and when they were good things. If they're bad things, but wood sticks was never a bad thing. Aluminum sticks, same story. But yeah, wood stick, it was a lot of fun to use it. I got a lot of looks and a lot of laughs, and truth be told, after shipping and handling, they were like $35 a pop. I got 2 of them for $70 essentially after it was all said and done. And I like them a lot. They won't last as long as the composites. They'll definitely be dead after a certain point just from use. They won't have any spring to them, and the blade will start to deteriorate. Those are all drawbacks to wood sticks. The beauty of composites is they can take quite a beating, and then they'll just break. So, and you're done with it. You're not going to keep legging it out with a composite stick that's on its last legs. It's eventually just going to break. So you've got that going for you. But wood sticks, get a wood stick, and if you play, and remember what it was like to use wood. Unless you just started and you've only known composites, odds are the people watching this are my age or a little bit younger, maybe even a little bit older. You remember wood sticks. Pick one up wherever. Mine were Christian Brothers. They're online. I believe Vaughn owns them. Another situation where Vaughn bought a company that went out of business and still keeps them around because they're a hockey company. And I might get some more after I go through these 2, because truth be told, wood sticks are still a lot of fun to have around, even if it's just to appreciate how good the composite sticks are now, and the weight difference and the performance difference. So there's that. Thanks for watching. Time to go edit the shit out of this, and hopefully successfully, because I'm not leaving in the clip where I yelled at my dogs. And thanks for watching.